Love and light therapy, Army. How we doing? Big up to all the therapy, massive love and light. Welcome to United Real Therapy. Welcome to the Real Raw Red podcast here, people. We do not give damn. We tell it as it is. I'm still in pain. Man's on strong painkillers, still in a lot of pain. I can't really laugh. I can't really shout too much. Broken ribs. It is what it is. If you've ever had it, it's painful. It is what it is, but you know what? We move. Big up Khalees Ramadeen Lassie. Big up, leave a like on the way in. There we go. But big up, Saeed will be joining us in a minute. We've got a big show for you today. We're going to be talking about the issues. And for me, Scott McTominay, 2 brilliant goals are not going to paper over the cracks, people. Because after the international break, Saturday night football, 7:30, we're playing. Who are we playing, people? Who are we really playing? We're playing Sheffield United at their ground, and it's going to be tough. But the big question is today, Man UFC, this is what I think. I think there's multiple in terms of where the blame lies, 100%. I think there's many, many different places where the blame lies. But for me, I look at other teams, and when I watch other teams, I see people, big up Khalees Ramadeen Lassie, Bruno Fernandes played most minutes in world football, and he keeps playing him to death. He's got to take him out. He has to. And if the Portuguese FA, if any of the Portuguese FA, Manchester United have got a duty of care to Bruno. They've got to take him. He's not a machine. He's a human being. He's not a machine. He needs to be taken out. He needs to be taken out for his own sake. At the moment, there aren't any concrete updates regarding Man UFC sale, so Jim Rox is doing to make creative offers. Listen, that'll go on as well. To me, it's a circus. And Manchester United Football Club is the biggest circus. What's happening on the football pitch at the moment? That sale thing, I don't think the Glazers are going to sell, me personally. So my mind's not changed. I'm not seeing anything that tells me Glazers are selling. Manchester United need complete, thorough purchasing, 100%. Big up to our Natalie. Listen, there's already 60 of you in here. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Saeed, we know, big up. How are you feeling? First of all,
big up.
Yeah,
yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. You get me?
You had 2 contrasting match reactions. Wednesday, you had me as a madman. Was it Wednesday or Tuesday? I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, it was Wednesday, I think.
No, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday night.
It was Tuesday. Yeah, there you go.
It was Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
You had me as a madman. So honestly, it was just pure raw emotion, man. I just couldn't believe what I was watching in a game where we were in control of. And then Saturday, the ending was just totally different. Scott McTominay pops up with 2. It must have been bare scenes, a lot of relief. I think majority of the stadium were relief, other than people celebrating. And then I see rival fans coming out for us saying we're celebrating. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is Manchester United Football Club, you know. We celebrate trophies. We're celebrating because the way we've been this season, and in a game, a must-win game, we managed to do it in injury time. So I don't know what people are on side. I'm not. I've heard that people have been giving you grief about celebrating.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I think for me, you know what it is, No, I think for me, you got to, like, you know what it is, in the isolated moment when you're in the stadium, man, you got to let every agenda go. Like, I want every player to succeed in it. So if I've got an agenda against a player, it's out the window when you are playing for the 90 minutes. After the game, I can talk about things, how I feel and whatnot. For the 90 minutes, I'm supporting you in it. It's as simple as that. And I want you to kind of beat us and et cetera, et cetera. But listen, man, I think for me, listen, we enjoy the win. We kind of we enjoy it, we celebrate, but we know the bigger problems in it. You know what I'm saying to you, bro? We know that there's bigger issues here. We know that, it's not all at sea. We know that the football club is still a dire strait. And we just have to put our feet on the ground, man, because you never know when this right now, the fan base, I've never been on Twitter on a Monday morning, where it's all calm. Like, generally, everyone's calm, Nurdin. There's no leaks. There's no this. There's no that. Like, people are talking about situations that are not related to Man United. But then obviously I hear transfer rumors, because that's what happens, right? When we're all in a bit of a buzz, they'll throw transfer rumors out there. But apart from that, there's not been no toxicity. And we just needed that for at least 2 weeks, because it's been bad. It's been bad. And luckily, we've had home games as well, where, it's a bit of positive atmosphere. Even though we're still bad, you can still have the crowd still singing, the crowd still, a bit more positive. So yeah, man, that's all I can say, people.
Yeah, unmute
I
this.
can't hear you,
Big
Nordin.
up big up the 100% Saeed, 100%. It is, that's what that goals did. It just settled the storm, you know what I mean? The storm was brewing.
Oh, the storm.
It
that's it.
just,
Yeah.
it's just, you know
Just
what? It was
relax.
one of those, like, it was like those two goals are like a, and breathe. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Match of
That's
the
what
day
it
was
was.
on. You
That's,
know,
this is the,
I was watching all the analysis. I was like, yo,
that's the first
did we
time
watch
they
the
put
highlight?
us. That's the first time we won a game and they put us first on Match of the Day.
There you go.
They usually put us getting bobbed all over the park.
Yeah.
If they put us first,
You know,
it's us getting bobbed all over the park. But big up the mixed bag nights is greeting therapy. And did you all notice how Arteta somehow faked injuries just to rest players? Or am I the only one with conspiracy? You're not, bro. You're not. Other clubs do whatever it takes to make sure they get an
whatever it
advantage.
takes.
Manchester
Yep.
United do not. Listen, this is it. Romano doing his little Jackie Norrie stories from Neil Ashton about who Manchester United need to buy and that. Big up Kelly's from the Chivera United Real Therapy. People, it's nearly
Big up,
100
bro.
of you here. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to
Come
the
on.
channel if you're not already subscribed, people. So yeah, 100% I agree with that. I think, imagine if we would have lost the game slightly. It would have been, I think people would have been saying get Ten Hag out now. I think that would have been trending and would have been trending for the next 2 weeks. So at least that's not
Easily.
trending.
Yeah, no, easily, bro. Like, you know, like I said, man, 10 hours under immense pressure, man. You get me? Like, I'll be real with you guys, man. He's under big pressure. And he had to deliver, man. This was his moment to kind of deliver. You can see with the celebration, man. Did you not see the celebration, bro? He was
Listen,
like, yo,
the
he's like
relief.
a Cheshire cat, you know, a Cheshire cat. Like, he was like, yo, he's like, I might as well say my job here. And you know what? He didn't want the negativity. Like, he's a manager who believes in his principles, he believes in his ideas and whatnot. And he has, for the past year, had this place on lock. You know, he's had this media on lock. And you know, the media, they're like, you know, they hunters. Vultures, yeah. So when they hear that, you know, that he's not stable and this it's not going his way, they can say, "What's going on? Are you the man to lead us forward? Are you the man to do this?" Like they're on his case, man. You know, so they're ready to kind of, as much as they're your best friend at one point, they're your worst enemy the next, man. So you can never trust them, man. You know, the Beck documentary showed me that as well. Like, you know, they loved him at first and then they hated him. By the way, have you watched it? By the way, it's quality.
No, Saeed, I've not, because you know why? It'll just break my heart. You know me, because I lived that. I've actually lived that. I remember those games. I remember that time. Hon
There
says,
you go.
Nuruddin, please tell Saeed Casemiro. Listen, I can't because nobody's got legs.
No,
It's not just
nobody,
Casemiro.
man.
And I'm not here to
Not
blame
just
just
him, man.
Casemiro. I'm not here just to blame. You know, I promise you, if it was him just underperforming, I'll be trying to blame him. But I can't blame him because it's not just him. At the end of the day, it's not just him, bro. If it was just him, I'd be like, oh, okay, just take him out, give him a rest. You know what I mean? It's not just him, it's everybody.
Facts, 100%, man. And you know what it is with me, with Casemiro, yeah? Like, listen, I still think there's a world-class player there. And I think for me, form is temporary. I think class is permanent. But I'm also, like, you know, wise enough to say, you know what, if a player's playing bad, like, take him out of the team. I'm for the team. I'm not player FC. I'm not. So if Casemiro's playing bad and it's for the betterment of the team, you drop him, then I'm okay with that. But this
100%.
idea that I've seen people saying, get him out and sell him and bro, people don't have memories, mate. Because last season, in the summer, you were all saying, oh, he's the best thing since sliced bread. So it's two extremes for me, man. Like, relax.
Listen,
I can
there's
talk
to
about
me.
Rashford because I've seen that for 4 or 5 years of inconsistencies. But with Casemiro, we've bought a guy who, for me, I know what his qualities are. I just think the team is so imbalanced. The team has so many problems. I don't think it's one person that's the issue. I don't think it's one. I think it's collectively as a team we're bad.
Facts.
So
agree.
let's call it for what it is: the team, not individuals. Because if it's individuals winning those games, then we're going to be it's going to be a long season. If we got one player, he turns up, or 2 or 3 players are playing well, and then you know you can recover with 1 or 2 not playing well. But if
And
it's
the
a collective people, you know,
and the stats back you up, Saeed, because we conceded 19 goals in 11
but there you
games.
go. But
in all competitions, we're leaking. So it can't just be one player. He cannot be one player. He cannot be just one player. Alfonso Davis says, this is after Eric Ten Hag said what he said about him. To be fair, he took it on the chin. He's like, I don't know what he saw, but I'm not saying what he saw was wrong. And then he's saying that he's got good defensive skills. So big up Alfonso Davis, man. Good player.
Yeah, big up. Yeah, big up. Man. He took it well, though, to be fair, man. He took it well. I seen the interview, and he actually took it well, man. So big up to him, man.
That's it. That's it. I don't know what, and to be fair, it was to motivate his players. I see Casemiro in the pockets playing, Mark. I don't want to see that playmaking. That's not his strength. Yeah, exactly. No, so this is what I'm saying to 100%. But that's what the managers asked him to do. The managers asked him to do.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what's like? You know what's even bad? The manager doesn't trust Bruno to do that.
I know.
What does that say to you?
Yeah.
No,
but also listen, the manager don't trust him. Obviously, he's making a room. But the fact that Bruno's on the right, because he is multifunctional and he believes he's a good utility player, but doesn't want to play him in his best role in his number 10. That tells you everything you need to know as well. That the manager wants to see what Mount's capable of and is trying to do something there. But in reality, he knows the right-hand side is not his favorite position, but he keeps shoehorning him there 100%. Because obviously Bruno can do it.
Listen, 100%. It's there for everybody to see. Listen, the question of the podcast today, big up to everybody. Nora, you were right. We should have bought Casado in quality. Listen, at the end of the day, it's not going to be one person who's going to come and fix this. It's not one player, two players. So we know what the blame side for this decade. We have to look at it because we can't look at it just for this season. We have to look at it in totality. What's gone wrong at this football club? Now, we know obviously the owners and the bankers, but the biggest thing, Saeed, what's gone wrong for me, in my opinion, because when I watched Manchester United play, Saeed, yesterday, because obviously this weekend I've been in a lot of pain, Saeed, I'm not going to lie to you.
Man.
Got broken ribs, you know what I mean? I've been high on painkillers, you know what I mean? If you know, you know.
Yeah.
I've even carried, I'm you know what, they're not too far away from me. Trust me, I'm gonna have to take some in a minute. If you know,
they're there when you need it. They're there
you know
when you need it.
So at the end of the day, I watched a lot of football this weekend. And my biggest thing, conclusion that I've come to is that when I look at Manchester United, we look so sluggish, we looked old, we look haggard, we look tired, we look like there's no team cohesion. We don't look like a proper team. And the question of the podcast today is that big up Tom.
Big up Tom.
Big up Tom. Listen, it comes up to so the biggest thing about what the podcast for me today is that the past decade, Man United recruitment is to blame. So what we've got in terms of players, right? When the teams are in trouble, you rely on what the strength of the team is, right? Manchester United have no physicality. Physically, we're weak. And we have no technicality. So the question is, how the hell are we going to get out of this when we have no physicality and we have no technical ability to get out? Technically, right, let me explain the physicality. Physicality, for example, look at Newcastle. Newcastle have physical. They make the game about physical and winning second balls, first balls. Big up Jarvis, right?
Big up
Jarvis. First and second ball, they make sure they win their duels.
Yeah.
Make sure that they fight as a team to win the ball back in the crucial play areas. Yeah.
Facts.
They actually physically impose themselves and overpower other teams. So Manchester United can't have that. And then technicality, we have zero technicality. We're not good enough to keep the ball. We're not good enough to play through teams to score goals. So the question is, what has happened with the recruitment in the past decade? Even calling to question the players the club have signed, because Ten Hag came out and said it's 50-50. The club signed 50% of the players in my time here, and I signed 50% of the players, but I've got a veto. So even in the Ten Hag, still Saeed. And that's why Jarvis will tell you, and that's why we all agreed with Ranić when he said you buy players on their first contract, second contracts, because they're younger, hungrier, they can get out. One thing about a young team, they might not have the experience, but they'll get about the pitch. They won't be outrun, they won't be out. You know what I mean? Like, they've got the endeavor. At this moment in time, we've got battered, haggard players. And to me, that's what I've observed from watching football on Saturday. All of Saturday I was watching different football, Spanish,
Yeah.
whatever, German. I was watching all types of different football. And I just see Manchester United and I think we are so slower, zero team cohesion. So how the hell are we going to get out this side when we can't play with physicality? We can't play with technicality. How are we getting out of it? How's Eric Ten Hag meant to find this? How?
No, I think for you know what it is with me. Obviously, when Ten Hag got the job, he led the recruitment. He led the basis of talent ID and talent identification, and that was a mistake that Man United allowed him to do. But I understood why they they had no choice because of the bad kind of 10 years that they've had. You know what I mean? The recruitment has been poor. So I understood why Ten Hag wanted the leading role, and he didn't really kind of look towards maybe what they brought. Obviously, there was a few recommendations that were given, but ultimately he said, "I'm going to get my personnel, my guys in, and I'm going to basically get who I know I can trust." And that's what it's been. You know what I mean? Martinez, Malassi that he knows, Mason Mount that he knows now, Onana. You're looking at Anthony was a big money signing. I know we dilly-dallied around and we could have got it for cheaper, but ultimately Ten Hag was insistent on Anthony. That was a reality situation. So I look at it and I think, you know what Ten Hag is doing now is only an indictment of the 10 years that's before him. Had we been so good in the last 10 years, I think Ten Hag would be like, okay, then you've actually got a good track record. You've actually, you actually know what you guys are doing. But, let's be honest, man, Myrtle's never had a clue about his role. He's come in, I mean, when you actually deep it, like he had a different role. He's had so many different roles in the last 10 years at the club. He started off, what did he start off as a development officer, was it? For David Moyes, was it, or something? Correct me if I'm wrong. None of it, he's worked his way up. So it's almost like job to the boys. And I've always said that United should have
learning
the biggest
on the job.
kind of
Learn on the job,
yeah,
you learn on the job.
I always think to me, like, you should always have the best in class. And United had that in Ragnick. You had it maybe in Mitchell. United didn't want to go that route. You're now having to rely on, Myrtle, but then obviously now Ten Hag has led the recruitment. So I generally just look at it and I think ultimately it's now a situation where I am worried about, especially while the Glazers are here anyway. That's the biggest worry you can have anyway as a fan. But the fact that now he will now lead it again and be like, you know what? Okay, next summer I'm gonna go get this player, and we're not gonna go and get the players that probably make sense. I'm gonna go get the players that I know. It may be a Delit next season. Delit's our favourite at Bayern Munich. Watch out for that name. I'm being serious. Delit is not playing at Bayern Munich. It may be Delit next season. So I know we're linked with Todibo and these guys here, but ultimately Ten Hag will have a big say in that, especially if it's in the jobs by then. So, and especially if the Glazers are still here, which you hope it's not. But it's a bit of everything, Nordin. It's really, it's because Ten Hag has come in and seen how bad it is. He's like, I'm taking over. I'm basically taking over.
But Saeed, he doesn't know, like we know the Premier League. He doesn't know you need physicality or you go and get technical ability. We have neither. We haven't got technical ability to get us out of trouble.
My thing, his mistake was he wanted De Jong. My thing was, listen, I love Casemiro and I want it, but his philosophy should not have been Casemiro. It should have been a prototype to De Jong, a player who can play out from the back, who's comfortable in possession, who's press resistant, who's actually, what he wants in De Jong.
I agree.
I agree with you on what you said, but name me that young player that you're saying there who you could have got that late in the window.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The season's already started and everything. So we knew that when he went and got Casemiro, that wasn't really his player that he wanted. And I think we all understood that when he didn't even play the first 4 games. I mean, you go to the Manchester derby, he didn't even play. He didn't play in the Manchester derby.
Listen,
and he arguably he was your biggest money, one of your best players in that summer. Go on, Rudy.
Yeah. Big up Raymond. Raymond, I wish that you never have a broken rib, bro. And you're not high on painkillers. I wish that.
Yeah.
Pulling out the rib card. Like, don't try to make me laugh. Tom, how are you? Let me just get an introduction. Tom, how are you? Are you in the Seven Hills or are you international man of mystery?
I just want to chip in. I can name 2 players.
Go on.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Sorry, I just want to chip in and say I can name 2 players that we could have got instead of Frankie de Jong, and that's Mateus Nunes, and the other guy is the guy who played in Arsenal. What's his name again? The one with like the wild hair. He played like a midfielder. He went to France.
Guendouzi.
Yeah, Guendouzi. Those two are like the same type of players.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know what? As well, he was looking for the midfield as well. What's his name? The Juventus one.
Rabiot.
Rabiot. Obviously, his mum. Obviously, John Myrtle went all the way down to Turin, and I couldn't really negotiate for that man. Obviously, his mum was demanding a lot of wages in that regard.
Saeed, little old me who lives in Hume knew that there was no need for him to fly all the way over there. He could have had it on the phone. She was going to say, my son is the highest paid player in Italy. Manchester United need to match and give a bit more for him to come to your club. It's crazy. But Jarvis, how are you, brother? Big up to you.
I'm fine.
I hope you're well.
Thank you.
You good? Listen,
I'm
welcome.
good.
I'll go to Tom. Tom, to me, the recruitment, Manchester United do not play with any physicality. We don't play with any technicality. So how the hell are we going to get out of this? That's the question today. Is there any solutions to this?
I'll be real raw and red, guys. Defensively, I don't see us playing out from the back this season. And I'm going to be very harsh in my criticism and what I'm going to say here, because I said it before and I'm going to stick to the same thing that I said. When you have every single defender back, realistically, I can only name 2 players that I would say, out of all our defenders, are comfortable on the ball. One of them's Licha Martinez. And you know what makes me laugh? The other one I would say is Johnny Evans.
It's true.
Johnny fucking Evans. I'm talking full-backs and centre-backs. Varane, he's not good on the ball, let's be honest, guys. He's a good defender, but he's not good on the ball. Delo, Wan-Bissaka, they're not good on the ball. Luke Shaw, Tyrone Malacia is okay, but we've not seen enough of him. That's it. That's our defenders, guys. We know Maguire's not good on the ball. So realistically, we have 2 centre-backs, one of which everybody on this panel, let's be real, none of us wanted Johnny Evans. Let's be honest. So we really only had the one player that he brought in, which was Martinez. That was it. And when we criticise Onana and saying like, he's making all these mistakes, he's always having to go long. He's not. When Johnny Evans was playing at the weekend next to him, Johnny Evans was telling him, listen, boo it long. Because really, I'm the only option that you can play to, that I'm comfortable taking the ball. I didn't see Lindelof want the ball. I didn't see Maguire want the ball. I didn't see any of our actual wide players want the ball. That's it. Casemiro won't come deep for the ball, like we've seen with deep number 6s, where they'll come short for the ball and collect it and turn. He's not that player. So really, right now as we stand, we're playing with one ball playing centre back out of 4 defenders. City, every single 4 of those defenders that they play with, 4 centre backs really now, can all play with the ball at the feet. Liverpool can all play with the ball at the feet. Even the young kid that plays at centre half for them, the young one that's only just coming out, I think he's about 18 years old, can play with the ball at his feet. We have one player that can do that right now. And this is what I mean. So when we say, how is it going to improve? I don't really see it improving, guys, I'll be honest. I don't think we're going to be playing out from the back because, like I've just said, we have 2 defenders that can only play that way, even when everybody's fully fit. That's the only thing that I can see out of that. Midfielders, we don't have ball retention midfielders. I think the only one that really knows how to properly recycle the ball, well, 2 of them, is Eriksen and Amrabat. I think they're our only 2 experienced players that know how to properly contain and recycle the ball. The rest of them, they're a bit one-dimensional and willy-nilly. I like Mount, to be fair. I think he's done okay in the last couple of games, ball retention-wise, but I don't think he's brilliant at it. But, we've been surprised before, guys, so we can maybe see some improvements. And logistically, we don't have the wide players. Our wingers are not going to be players that are wanting to recycle the ball and keep possession. Rashford's a very direct player, cut inside, score into the top corner. Anthony, you could say, is the prototype, just on the right-hand side, and he's left-footed. He's pretty much mirror image, but he's not a direct player. He just look always for the far corner. That's our players. The one thing that I like about Palestri and, say, Garnacho and our younger players is they are schooled in a bit of the old-fashioned way where take the ball to the byline, drag the defender to their weakest point where they're going to expect you to always want to cut inside. Drag them to the byline, and I don't put the lowest cross in that you can, or just dink the ball to the back post. that's the one thing that I like about that. A lot of our younger players, they're developing into that. So for me to answer the question best way I can, even with a fully fit squad, I don't see us controlling the ball. We don't have enough technical players like we've just discussed, and I've just broke it down there. Playing out from the back, you might as well abandon it again for this season because he doesn't have the defenders to do it. And even when he has everybody fully fit, Johnny Evans and Leach Martinez won't play together. And
you
so
know what?
really,
and that's it. You summed it up.
I don't blame Onana. I don't really blame Onana as much when we say yes, the mistakes. I can understand that, but the actual when people are criticising him for he's always going long. Well, you're not going to pass to Maguire. We know what happened in Seville. You're not going to pass to Delao. These players, they go up the field. They don't sit on the corners like you see with Zinchenko for Arsenal or you see with Kyle Walker for Manchester City. They're not those fullbacks. That's the difference. So for me, even with a fully fit squad, I don't see where the ball retention is coming from.
It's going to be very interesting to see, but big up to you. Jarvis, I hope you're well.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah,
big up Noah. Noah says, Beckham and Eric Ten Hag is a good coach. Difficult time at the moment, but there's a lot of noise around the club at the moment, so it can't be easy for him. Yeah, big up Noah. Big up Khalees from Reading Lassie. Big up to everybody. Straight, real, raw, red pod. Welcome, everybody.
Make sure you're liking the video, people, man.
100%. 100%. There you go. No physicality. We have... Yeah, well, we have Scott McTominay.
But you know what, as well?
McTominay
is the one as well that we misprofiled him for. But even McTominay, though, we misprofiled him for how many years in this football club.
To be fair, yeah, we've said it.
No, but I'm just saying,
box number 8. Like, he's a box number 8.
But the problem is, the recruitment team would have told us, like, listen, man, put them together, Fred and McTominay, get them there, get them playing there, and put them as midfielders. When in reality, he's more of a second striker rather than anything, and a box-to-box player. So it comes down to even like when we're recruiting players, like, you know, we don't like Fred was never a 6, but we played him like a 6 when he should have been further forward. You know, even when we do buy players, we always end up like misprofiling them. And that's why Ten Hag saying, I'm getting players.
Let Jarvis come in. Hold it there. Let me just Jarvis come in. Jarvis, what's that he's talking about? And that we have a no physicality and no technicality. So how the hell are we supposed to get out of this? For me, it's 10 years of bad recruitment, really bad recruitment. And big up Alien Tunnel. Let me just get his thing. He says, Merson called us Sabutio team. Wow. Go ahead, Jarvis.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
Sabutio is the old school game. Sabutio used to get. I've got a t-shirt of it.
I don't know.
I've got a t-shirt. You can Google it. Sabutio. Like it's an old school little game you used to play on the table. You used to flick the ball. Remember, it's like little players on this round thing, and I used to flick the ball. It's a very old school game.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to say I agree with what Tom said about how our team is set up, but I can give you one devil's advocate on this, and let's go to Brighton FC and see how they play. They have Dunk, they have Webster, they have the new guy Igor in center back. None of them can play the ball, but still they do it. The Serbians make them play the ball. They have Pascal Gross. He's no technical player, but he's like Prime Pirlo when he plays for Brighton. So how is that possible? You know, it's about coaching too, and we talked about it last season already. How Ten Hag never got the time to make his drills, to train, to set his system. But we just waffling around. We are always chasing. We never have a plan when we play, and that's a big problem. And I don't think it always comes to the players' abilities, because at Premier League level, all the players has the ability to play the ball. They have the technicality, but you know, when the pressure takes them, they don't know what to do. And you have the higher you come up in the system, when you play the Premier League, you don't have time. That's the key element. You don't have time. And if you haven't practiced, if you haven't trained, if you don't know what you're doing, you look like a fish on land when you have the ball, because you will always lose it. And that's one of our problems is Ten Hag hasn't had the time to set the system. My second point is when it comes to transfers, and you talked about 50% of the transfers. For me, well, it's okay that Ten Hag has 50%, but what about the other 50%? Who is making that choice, and why? That's for me the two questions I need to know, because is it the board? Is it Murtaugh? Is it Arnold? And why? Do they have a plan? I don't think so. And that's the biggest problem, because we sign from everywhere. We don't have like a red line through everything we're doing. So Ten Hag, even if he signs 50% of the players and all of them succeed, we will still struggle. And that's a problem, because Ten Hag is then fighting the battle with one hand behind his back. So that's
Listen,
how I see it.
I spoke about it.
And every manager that comes in here, it's the same thing. It's a revolving sack. This is why, for me, I said I need to see until December before I can say, right, this is where we're not going anywhere. But right now, sacking the manager, bringing it into him, and then you're having the same old problems, not even worse.
But who's going to be the interim side? Who's going to be the interims? You know who they're going to get the interim?
Mickey
Lauren
Freeland,
Blanc.
lads.
Lauren Blanc. Oh my God! They're not going to get.
He's failed massively at Lille. Leon. Leon. They took him out. They put a banner out saying, "Get out! You're not fit for this job. Get out!"
That's crazy.
Leon didn't play around.
Listen, big up Insane. Insane says lack of physicality, technicality equals play long balls and inshallah. It's 100%. I'm not lying to you. We are inshallah FC. We are. If you know, you know. We are absolutely hope, inshallah. You know what I mean? Honestly, that's what we are. We're living on a prayer, innit? We live on prayers.
Yeah.
How can Gary Neville keep saying McTominay is a young lad?
Well, they say about Rashford still, don't they?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. Gary Neville, I swear to God, Gary Neville is still trapped. The same thing like what he said when we first came in. Even when he came in on the Jose, he was still quite in his 20s. He was early 20s. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's mad. Like, he was 21 and now 27 years, nearly 28. I think it's going to be 28 soon in the new year. You know what I mean? So this idea is just madness. For me, recruitment says everything about you, the way you're going to play in modern football. You can't have a mismatch. You cannot have a mismatch. Do me a favor, Jarvis. Can you get up the squad and then we'll go through it where the managers they've come from? If you get the Manchester United squad for me, that'd be great, and share it because my one doesn't work somehow. But honestly, Saeed, I just when I see
blocked by Man United, that's why. You've been blocked by Man United on the website. I'm telling you, they're finding what you are, man.
I'm not lying to you. Me and Saeed, during the last international, went outside and to write a record outside the Old Trafford.
Oh my
where
God!
He does his matching, like his match reactions. The guy came and was like, "Right, you got to move along." It's like it was direct orders from Neil Ashton.
Well. Yeah, where you can film as well. And then they told us where we normally sit outside Old Trafford, you can't film there. You have to go outside the stadium. So they know, man. They know what's going on, man. They you know what I mean? Any sort of form of media. It's like just the news articles, you know what I mean, and whatnot. Like any form of media that's showing a different propaganda. You're out, mate. You're out. So gotta be careful, mate.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy.
That's a good comment there as well by Red. That's a good comment there. That's true as well. No big names, just profiles. Yeah, I mean, we tried to do that on the Ragnick, but they didn't want him to do it. Remember, we wanted to buy Alvarez and these sort of players. They didn't want to do it.
Saeed. When he was in the media shouting about all these names and everything, he made the people that were above him look like fools, or the people that he was supposed to work with for that consultancy period. He consulted these people for 4 months when he was the manager, because he told them every top young player in the world. He told them about Caicedo, Alvarez, Mateus Nunes when he was still in Portugal. He told them about all this, Enzo Fernandez. He told them about all these brilliant young players when they were in their 20s or even younger than that, who now, most of them, are at big football clubs, either in the Premier League or Europe. And what did the board actually do with him? They just terminated his contract, NDA signed, see you later. That was it.
Yeah.
And the reason being, Saeed, was they made him look. Ragnick made the whole recruitment team look like absolute schmucks. Because how can you know about all these young players and Manchester United? Do you know how many of those players that they were following that he mentioned?
How many?
Zero.
Wow.
They weren't looking at any of those players. Why? Because United didn't tap into the South American market until Eric Ten Hag came through the door. That's the only time that they ever looked at proper South American players. And ever since then, you brought in Anthony, you brought in Casemiro. It's funny that, isn't it? As soon as you get Eric Ten Hag in, who's worked with those South American Latino players, like Alessandro Martinez as well, Argentinian connection there. All these then South American players then suddenly come to United. But when Ragnick was telling you about the younger generations of some of these players, they didn't want to listen to him. And now you're in a situation where you hold £105 million to get Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea.
Yeah.
You hold 110 million to get Caicedo from Brighton, rather than paying 5 million to get him 2 years earlier. You have to hold it if you want to go and get the best quality players now. Why? Because the lower league clubs who are better run than Manchester United, analytically, get the better players because they end up getting the bigger price for the player in the end. And still after that, they already bring in the next best one after that. Yeah. We know with Caicedo, as soon as Basuma left to go Spurs, they brought in Caicedo. As soon as Caicedo's gone, they've got Billy Gilmore there. They've got the young lad who's just come through the academy as well. Conveyor belt.
And did you see the two guys they played yesterday against Liverpool? The two young players that they brought in midfield.
Yeah. Well, one of them's from the academy. I think was his name Small Village. I can't remember what his name was. Anyway, one of them, I think he was only 18 years old as well. But with us, we don't give that belief and trust in our players at the end of the day. That's the problem with us. But when you see it with other big football clubs...
Baleba was called Baleba. Good player, by the way. I watched him yesterday. Very good player.
Yeah. But this is what I mean. Young players at that level, there's no pressure. You come into Manchester United at 18 years old, mate, you've got big pressure. Big pressure.
Tom,
have you seen, guys? You know what? I don't mean to go on about Brighton, but have you seen this season?
Yeah.
He's made, because they're playing in Europe and he doesn't want them fatigued. He's making 7 changes, 8 changes, 9 changes.
8 changes.
You see that? And they all know the system. They all know the system. And did you see what he said after the game? Did any of you see what the Sebri said after the game? Congratulate the football club again. Found 2 wonderful young gem footballers for me.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
That's the thing. But the recruitment,
we would never do that, man.
Nuruddin, let's be honest, right? Brighton even lost
their
the
pressure is
director.
different. We have to be correct. The pressure is different. But
of course
they show how well-run football club looks like. And
Nuruddin, let me say it for what it is. They lost Dan Ashworth, their brilliant sporting director, and they're still finding the same players. To Newcastle, and they're still finding these little hidden gem players. So it's not just about one person. You need a whole structure. So when people talk about Paul Mitchell or Ralph Ragnick or any of these people come to Manchester United and be the sporting director, it's not just one person that you need. You need a team. You need a whole recruitment team. You need that guy's person who he trusts as his best scout for South America, for Europe, for England, for wherever, and find the best young players.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. But unless you're going to go down the model of let's have a project and build a young team, which we don't have right now. I think we've got one of the oldest average age squads in the league. I don't really see where the process is going to go from there, unless you're going to start replacing a lot of the older players. But why bring Casemiro in a long-term contract? Why bring Varane in a long-term contract? Because you're just going to have to recycle and replace over and over again. But anyway, I'll let you go back, Nuruddin. Go on.
Yeah, big up. Listen, at the end of the day, I look at this mishmash in it. So let's name all the players in it. Let's have a look at all of the players. And big up Neil Driscoll, man. Love and light, everybody. Love and light in the comments. I'm just gonna go comments in a minute, and then look at the players. Yeah, look at the squad. We can see already. Like, okay, Heaton was there for a long time. So look at the amount of managers. So if we go up a little bit, Luke Shaw, Louis van Gaal signing. Diego Dalot, Jose Mourinho signing.
Lindelof Mourinho.
Yeah, Lindelof, Mourinho. I think Anthony Martial, Louis van Gaal signing.
It was Van Gaal, yeah.
Yeah, Louis van Gaal, yeah.
Who else have we got? That's Louis van Gaal signing. Martial, Luke Shaw.
And Shaw. I'm trying to think there.
Yeah, that's the defenders. No. So when we do the defenders first, Van Bissaka is
Johnny Evans, he was there. Remember, he got sold by Johnny. Van Gaal sold Johnny Evans, didn't he? So you can technically put him in the Fergie Van Gaal era, if you want to call it.
Fergie Van Gaal era, exactly. So players from Fergie Van Gaal. So with defenders, we've got Luke Shaw, Evans. Who else have we got? Martial.
I don't think there was any more, was there?
Rashford was Louis van Gaal as well. Rashford was Louis van Gaal.
Rashford, yeah.
Young player,
so we got 4 players, yeah? So the defenders, that's what we got. So, and then let's look at Jose Mourinho now. Scott McTominay, Lindelof. Who else?
Keep going up.
Yeah, just keep going up, Nuruddin.
You can still add Luke Shaw into that era if you want to say it. He was still in that kind of.
Yeah, it was only like the season after. Yeah.
Martial, Rashford, still that they're part from Jose Mourinho era.
Jose, yeah.
And then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Bruno.
Palestri, Delo was his as well.
Palestri, Delo, Ahmad.
Yeah.
Ahmad was,
Oh yeah, by the way, Delo was from Mourinho's era as well. Delo was from Mourinho's era.
Mourinho era.
Delo,
so
big up
you
chat.
see that there. So you look at that, and then Ten Hag. Let's look at Ten Hag signings. Anthony,
Martinez,
Casemiro,
Eriksen.
Eriksen.
There's about 5 or 6, isn't there, in total, I think.
Yeah.
And Højlund.
If we're not
looking at it, because it's only 7 games gone, 8 games gone in the Premier League, 7 games gone. So let's not look at the ones that he signed this season, the ones he signed last season. Martinez, Anthony, Casemiro, Malacia, and Eriksen.
Dubravka wants it, but we've got rid of them anyway.
Right.
Yeah, well.
so you see the mix-mash of profile of players. It's an incredible mix-mash. It's a mix-mash. You look at it. Louis van Gaal wanted to play possession football, wanted to keep the ball, rotate the ball a lot. Jose wanted to play counter-attacking football, low to mid-block, a lot of it low block.
Yeah.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted to play mid to low block, and then but with more attacking, give freedom to the strikers up front. Actually, under him, we scored the most goals. Under Solskjaer, that's where we were 5-0 FC, 4-0 FC, whatever. We used to start smashing teams. We also get smashed at the same time. Let's not forget, eh?
Yep.
I sat there against Liverpool and watched us get humiliated. And then we bring Erik Ten Hag, who wants to rotate games, who wants physicality and technical ability. So how the hell can we all blame the manager? And Saeed said something about Christmas. So Saeed, if the results get any better, knowing what you know now, everything that we've just gone through, Sancho was a signing of Ole Gunnar's was a signing. Everything that we've known, how can you then blame the manager and go, it's the manager, when you've got a mixed match of players who were bought for specific different styles of football? How can you go, it's the manager?
No. That's why for me as well, that recruitment has failed, you know what I mean? Because you had to move players on, not just allow the manager to make them decisions. You had to move players on. Sometimes we always forcing the manager to say, right, are you kicking this player out? No, but also we gave big contracts out as well. Maguire's on a 7-year contract. Why is that allowed to happen? So there's a lot that's gone on there. And I feel like for me, it's like, why have we made these kind of bad decisions, giving so many players contracts? Like, I'll be real with you, like, there's so many players that have been given contracts. I'm like, did they really need a contract extension? Did they really need it? Like, what we play well for 3 months and then you get a contract. Like, it's just it's too much for me, man. And I feel like for me, it's one of them where, it's down to the football club to make them decisions. Right, we're moving this player on. This is happening now. We're getting a fresh batch in. Guardiola, see you later. They're all gone now. Like, how many of the Guardiola team from, let's say, when he started off and now I know they're a bit older, but look how we blended them out. He didn't give David Silva another 2-year contract. He didn't give Aguero another year contract. He didn't give so many players another year contract. No, Aguero, we would have kept Aguero. I know obviously he had heart conditions and whatnot, and you know what? I hope he gets well and I hope he's okay. But we would have allowed a player like that to kind of carry on.
Yaya Toure as well.
Yaya Toure, Vincent Kompany would have said, "Yo, have another year." You think Man City bring back Johnny Evans? Listen, I know he's done well for us, and I respect him. He's a legend, whatever you want to call it. But do you think they bring back Johnny Evans? No. So it's about standards, isn't it, man? You move. And apparently now, the Man City now, apparently what they're trying to do now is get more homegrown players into their team now. That's their new project. So they're not even going to get the big key players anymore. They're going to try and get, now they've, Oscar Bob, I know he's come from, is it Norway? Is it Oscar
Norwegian.
Bob? Norwegian, but he's still going to be under the homegrown kind of quota. You know, look at Rico Lewis. Phil Foden's in that team now. You'll see more and more coming through it. But,
Cole Palmer did
with
as well,
us,
when he was there.
I watched Granada yesterday, and I was looking out for Alvaro Fernandez. And was he there? Can anyone guess if he was there?
Let me guess. He wasn't even on the bench, was he, Said? Or was he?
Yeah, I think he played a couple of minutes and then he came off. I think it was, but that
Shocking.
you know what I mean. Like I feel like it's one of them where he'll play for a little bit, then he won't play for a little bit. Then it's like it's a bit of both. And I feel like when we're sending people out on loan as well, are we getting the best loans for them as well? Are we getting the best loans out for them? You know, I don't know.
Preston and Sunderland.
So
we should have that relationship with those two clubs. What we did with Fernandez and Ahmad. We should have that relationship. And I think Tony Mowbray, who's the Sunderland manager, he even said if Manchester United want to build a relationship where they bring us young players, we're happy to take them. That's the one thing that he said after when they had the Ahmad loan. And if Ahmad wouldn't have got injured this season, they wanted him back for the next season as well, going into this season. But obviously, Manchester United were looking at keeping him or trying to get him into the Premier League somewhere. But we did the same thing with Palestri. We loaned him to Alvarez twice. He didn't play hardly any of the games. So what was the point?
And you know what, Tom? If we compare ourselves, pick up the mix. If you compare ourselves to Spurs, if you looked at the Spurs squad, they're not that many older players. They're all young players.
Young, yeah.
They're all young, hungry guys who want to run.
Especially the back line.
Yeah, the back line. They've got the Argentinian guy. He's the oldest. Rest of them, the other three are young. The goalkeeper's not old. And then you go into midfield. You got Basuma and the other kid who's like 22. Then you got Son, who's the most experienced player. You've got Madison, who's that.
He's a veteran Premier League player.
Kulusevski's in his early 20s. You look at it. That's why they can run. They can run, Jarvis. So I come to you, Jarvis. When we looked at that, you saw what that is. How can you then anybody be Eric Ten Hag out when you know the reality of the mid? And then we're asking to come up with a style of play. Because last season, to me, the biggest fault is that I called it, Jarvis, and majority of us called it. He needed to drill because that's when he had the grace. Nobody expected him. And he should have drilled and then waited like the Sebri did, drill, take the bad results. I think people would have took the bad results.
I don't know, man. This fan base, Nordin, you're expecting a fan base is not patient, man.
Listen, the fan base is like Arsenal. Listen, online, Arsenal are the second fan base that's more vocal. Yeah, we've got the bigger fan base in the world, right? Whether it's online or offline, right? But Arsenal are vocal. Arsenal will like get Arteta out, and what has Arteta done? Got rid of the old players, gave youngsters a chance. And I've said to you,
that's what Ten Hag needs to do, though. But will Ten Hag do that, though? That's the problem. Will it take? I'm not saying it's down to him, and I don't think it's down to him. I'm just saying, will there be a plan? No, I'm saying, will it ever work for Ten Hag? That's what I'm saying. Different for Arteta.
You know,
because he was a novice. Hold on a minute. Because he was a novice manager, and he was almost like he came new to the job. I feel like with Ten Hag right now, I don't know if he's going to be translating that to the board. I don't know if the board trusts him. I don't know if the board want to do that even more. They want to, obviously, we know about Glazeonomics and whatnot, etc., etc. But I just don't know if we're that kind of club, like Arsenal, that will do that because we always want to keep players here for so long. And it's an uphill task. I understand you. But at the same time, I want Ten Hag to put them in the reserves. Do what Arteta did. Put him in the reserves. I say, right, you're not playing now. But I don't think he'll do that. So I think it's a poison chalice, this manager role. I really do. That's why I feel like for me, as much as I blame him for certain things, I think certain things are out of his control. I really do, man. So, but I hear you, man. It's frustrating. It is frustrating.
100%. And big up Sis VP, right? He said Spurs have also players from different managers. There are players from Poch era. Other than Son who? Other than who plays this season than Son who? Tell me, other than Son, that's one player.
There you go.
One player that's in this current team right now. That's bobbing people's up. But Jarvis,
Ben Davies is another, but he doesn't play.
But he's not playing. He comes on. Yeah,
squad player though.
But exactly. But there's not many. And you know what? As bad as Spurs have been in this time, Said underneath it. They had a proper sporting director, that Paratici guy, right?
Paratici, yeah.
Paratici. And he brought a lot of players in. He bought a lot of players in Jarvis. Young players as well. So this idea, Jarvis, is that the difference was Saeed, what I wanted to get back at Saeed and say to him that Stan Kroenke's son came and said, right, they did the protest, Super League, yeah. Is it called Stan Kroenke, the son?
Josh.
Is it called
Josh
Kroenke?
Josh Kroenke is the son.
As soon as they seen that, and then they saw the guy that from Spotify that wanted to take over the football club.
Daniel Akia.
Right? He wanted to take over the football club. Right, Josh Kroenke then came and took control of Arsenal. Arsenal have not looked back since that. They've not looked back. We can banter.
Yeah, I know.
At the moment, they're challenging for a league, Saeed. They're challenging for a league title. Yeah, the game was boring yesterday, but they actually beat Man City. Right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, Jarvis, how can we blame Erik ten Hag? Like, to me, Ralph Ranić said, you need to go for younger players. You need to go for hungrier, first or second contract.
Surgery, man. Heart surgery.
No, but he said first or second contract. What did he mean by that, Jarvis? First or second contract. Explain to the people what he meant by that.
Yeah, basically, when we sign players in the late 20s, it's their last contract, or in their 30s, as we have done a lot of times, especially when it comes to strikers. So that's the problem. There's no resale value, and the hunger is gone. So they come to get their last paycheck and just secure themselves for the after football life. I just want to say, when we talked about Ten Hag, I liked what Zlatan. Did you see the Zlatan interview with
Piers Morgan, the Muppet?
Yes, at Morgan. He talked about this with experience and Ten Hag, and I liked what he said, because he said that you cannot buy experience. You just have to get the time to get the experience, and this is one of the problems when it comes to Ten Hag, because he coached Ajax, but he never had any Premier League experience. So for me, I think it's important that we give him time, and especially when it comes to get to know the club, because we know it. We have been following this club for me over 20 years, but I don't know how long you guys have been following Man United. We know the club is a mess, especially after the Glazers, and it takes time for Ten Hag to learn how to approach the Glazers, how to get this signing, how to wiggle around to get these moves, and how to get this club working, because we are the biggest club in the world, and you know which button to push for to get Ten Hag, to get Sancho going, to get all of the players like Rashford going, because they have so much money. They are like superstars, and this is difficult for Ten Hag. So I think it's important to give him time, and I think he will come better, but it will take time. And maybe this season, maybe we will come seventh, and that's it. But I think in a couple of seasons' time, he can
seventh. You know, it's you know what? It's mad, because there's no guarantee of seventh place, because
with that bad at the minute,
you know, if there's no chance of top four, or we're so bad in that kind of period of December, and we've left the Champions League as well in that time. Yeah. I think that his position becomes untenable. But I do agree with you in a sense. Yeah, they will. And again, like I said to you, now they're playing the card of, obviously we're backing the manager, and we think he's going to turn it around. But these Glazers, they always flip, man. They want that top four. They want. Also, you got to remember, for the whole brand as well, they need top four this season as well, to get the most money that they can possible. They need top four. So if they're going to sell the football club, they just sell it in the Champions League, or else, whoever's trying to buy the football club will say, well, hold on a minute, you're in the Europa League. The club value is not the same as it was last season. You know what I mean? The share prices are down, etc., etc. And we want it for this price now. But if they're in the Champions League, they sack him and they go and get a new manager in, and he gets Champions League football in the time possible, the price is still there for what they want. So, yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I just want to say one more thing, Nordin. When it comes to Ten Hag, because when we signed him as a manager, the board had to make a choice, and they knew that Ten Hag came from Eredivisie in Netherlands with Ajax, and he didn't have any Premier League experience. What did they expect? That he would just come in and swoop the Premier League? That's unrealistic. So when they made the choice for Ten Hag, they must have known that this is going to take time, even if he got all these signings. So I think they will back Ten Hag, and who knows, maybe in a couple of seasons' time. But I see a couple of comments here. I see Man Lutata, for example, says that Eric Ten Hag would love fans like me, but I'm not like backing Ten Hag through everything. He needs to show results. I'm just saying that I want to back the manager because I don't want to repeat the cycle. That's just my stance at the moment. I defending the office of the manager.
Facts. We're not. This is not individual. We're not making it personal. At the end of the day, you will get someone like Steve McLaren and Darren Fletcher as your interim. I do not want them as interim. I'm sick of fucking having interim managers. I'm sick of it. Big up. Hun Has says, Son, Ben Davis, Kalu. Big up Saeed. Make sure you go and check out the 250th Straight Jacket podcast. Make sure you go and watch that. So he says, Son, Ben Davis, Kalu, Pro, Benzema, Romero, ain't Ange signings. They still can play. Good ability. Our players just that majority of those players are young players who've got some of them who've not played, who are hungry to play because other managers didn't fancy them, like Bazuma. The other managers didn't fancy them. Kulakevsky, wasn't fancied that much. But there you go. So they're hungrier and they want to play, and they've got something to prove to this new manager. It could be a new manager bounce. We see that 7 games so far. But Tom, I'll bring it back to you. The idea of sacking Eric Ten Hag when we've got that much mix of players with so many different styles, and majority of our squad is actually old. Look at it, and Eric Ten Hag, for me, the biggest thing, he has to play the youngsters. He has to play the Hannibal, Ahmad. He has to play people like Manu. All these different things like Palestri, Garnacho. These guys have to play. Like for you to want to get out of this, because one thing about young players, they'll run to the end of the earth for you. Yeah. And that's what Arteta realized. When Josh Kroenke came, he gave the club a bit of TLC. He was like, okay, we're going to stay with you regardless how the results go. We're going to stick with you because we've got a plan. This is the plan we're going to have. So at the end of the day, Manchester United, we don't have that. And the reason why, big up Khalis Romedin last year and big up Noah as well. Noah, people are just having a laugh with you, King. But yeah, you just post whatever you want to post. Big up Arian Rashid as well. Love and light everybody. I'll say it simple. Manchester United can't get rid of players. So when we go, Eric Ten Hag needs to get rid of the club. It's the club. Eric Ten Hag he wanted to get rid of McFred. He wanted to get rid of Maguire. He wanted to get rid of Sancho. He wanted to get rid of Donny van de Beek. He wanted to get rid of all these players. The club are not letting them go. So how can you blame him then? Because he's not in charge of getting the players out. Well, Arteta is in charge, fully in charge, getting players out, bringing players in with Edu.
Yeah. But the thing is, Nurudin, though, the team is only as good as its club structure who bring the team together and make that team. When you have it with Arsenal, for example, Arsenal at that time, before Josh Kroenke took the ownership and sort of led it from the Kroenke family, they had Usmanov, a Russian oligarch, who owned a massive stake of the club, and then they had the Kroenkes who owned the other percentage. So it was like a dual partnership. But the Kroenkes had more of the shares, so they had control over the football club. But Usmanov had a board seat, so he had a say in the decision making of the club. But Usmanov wanted to try and buy the Kroenkes out, and they never agreed a deal to buy them out. Otherwise, you would have had Russian money with Arsenal, just as the same as that you would have had with Abramovich at Chelsea. But as soon as the Russia-Ukraine war and the conflict happened there, Usmanov's assets were frozen, so the Kroenkes took it upon themselves and said, we'll buy Usmanov's shares out, so then we can be the majority shareholder, and then we control the 100% asset, which is then how they was getting offers from such as Daniel Ek to buy the football club in its entirety. But as soon as they then had full control, Stan Kroenke, what did he do? He said, son, I've got all the major franchises. I've got the Nuggets. I've got the NFL team. I've got the basketball team. I've got all the different American sports teams. That's my forte. You are going to go to Arsenal and you're going to be the leading face of our family and you're going to lead that football club. That's what you're going to do, Josh. And what I always say, Nuruddin, there's a pyramid in top football clubs. The owner, so in this case, you could say Josh Kroenke, he represents the ownership. You have Edu, who's your sporting director, and you have the manager, Mikel Arteta. Pyramid, triangle. City, you have Khalidou Mubarak, you have Tixi, Berestein, and then you have Pep Guardiola. Pyramid.
And then you've got the other guy as well. There's the other guy, Tixi, and some other guy. There's two of them. We had a recruitment and a sporting director.
Yeah. But you have that pyramid. Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp. You had it with Michael Edwards, and then you have the CEO. I can't remember the Liverpool CEO. I think he's left since then. Anyway, you have a pyramid in football clubs.
But to be fair, one thing about Liverpool, they all left, but they still. Jurgen Klopp then called.
He brought in the people that he knew from Germany, who were just as good as the people. Yeah. Wolfsburg, and he brought somebody in from Stuttgart. He brought in people who were just as qualified as the people that he was working with before. The only difference is they were so much more towards Jurgen Klopp because he had the say on who they brought in. But with Ten Hag right now, all it is right now is we have Richard Arnold, who we know knows nothing about the football. And if I'm being completely honest, he does not represent the ownership. He doesn't. Because if the Glazer family didn't do what they did with the Super League, you would still be sat here with Ed Woodward as the CEO of Manchester United. So he was the man who represented that family. He was the one who worked with the family for years. He's the one that made the millions in dividends. Him, not Richard Arnold, because Richard Arnold at the moment has been making losses, not money. So at the end of the day, when you have it, our pyramid in comparison to those our big three rivals that I've just said about, is Richard Arnold, John Murtough, and Eric Ten Hag. That is not a pyramid system. I'm sorry, it's not. But when everybody was sat here, and I'll be honest, I was one of them, I saw two world-renowned qualified football director and CEO in our stands at Old Trafford, Ralph Rangnick and Paul Mitchell. Ralph Rangnick, if you brought him as the CEO, he'd run this football club to the top. I've said it before and I've used the analogy. He took a Red Bull energy drink, spoke to the head officers with Red Bull in Austria, in Vienna, and said, let's build two football teams. We'll build Leipzig, a football team. We'll call it RB Leipzig. Salzburg, we'll build that in Austria. And they've built two football teams from it, Nuruddin. That's what that guy does. He's a club builder. He's an innovator. Paul Mitchell, brilliant, world-renowned football scout. A lot of those young players in that Monaco team, he's found for them.
Tom,
even when they had it with Jardine.
Just hold it there. I've got a big apology to make. It's the painkillers, man. Somebody was trolling in the chat. I have tried to put them on a timeout. And unfortunately, I've done it twice. Have you got the wrong
person?
And I've done it to Khalees Remedy last.
Oh, Khalees.
I've done it to Khalees. So Khalees needs to come out of jail. Luckily, I didn't do banning. I just put him on a timeout. He should be back soon. You'll be back soon, Khalees. Bless him. But no, you understand what I'm trying to say for AP Army. We don't have the pyramid system that other football clubs have. If we'd have had it with Rangnick as the CEO, you have it with Ten Hag as the manager, and you have it with Paul Mitchell, those three, if I'm being honest with you, I think they work. But the one thing that I think that pissed Ten Hag off, and I don't buy this that Ten Hag wouldn't have worked with Rangnick, because he would know that Rangnick's more qualified than John Murtough and Richard Arnold in their jobs. So I don't buy the nostalgia that the club was briefing where there was a disagreement. They didn't get on the same wavelength from the page. Ralph Rangnick was pushing to get Ten Hag in rather than get Pochettino, or as we call him, Olicino. At the end of the day, when you have a manager who can identify that the people that he's working with are not qualified and not fit for purpose, what do you expect the guy to do? He's going to come in and he's going to say, right, well, if I don't look at you and think you're qualified for the job, I'll take the reins on. I'll do everything. I'll be the manager. I'll be the football director. I'll be the CEO. I'll be everything. I will do everything, but it's going to take a hit on the coaching of the team. And thus, we're at where we are, guys, where we've not seen that much progression with the style of play because he's been lacking the time to actually put the coaching elements in.
And when you play upwards of 70 games, you have a World Cup in the middle of a season as well. What do you expect the guy to do? And when you come down to recruitment, I know I've always criticised Ten Hag as well when people say that he's brought in the players that he knows from Ajax or the Dutch team where he's worked with them before. He doesn't trust the coaching staff to get him the players that he wants.
Yeah.
I've said it before. Kim Min-jae never worked with him before, didn't get him. Harry Kane never worked with him before, didn't get him. Tadibo, Cody Gakpo, never worked with these players before. How many of those 4 that I've just mentioned there that Ten Hag wanted did he get? None. He got none of them. But all of the players that he ever wanted, Mason Mount, you could say that was a bit of club in Ten Hag. Anthony was a player that he knew. You already knew it, Frankie de Jong. If we'd have brought him in, that nostalgia would have been there for that player as well. So it's not like we've not brought in players that Ten Hag knows. Of course we have. But a proper football club, Nuruddin, would have done what we all said in the summer. You don't get every single player that the manager wants. You need to have a strong football director who will challenge the manager's decisions. And like I say, if you have a Ralph Ragnick or a Paul Mitchell in that seat next to him, where they discuss who you bring in, like Tixi and Soriano do with Pep Guardiola at City, they disagree all the time. They probably disagree more than they agree on players. Yeah. Because when you look at it, at the whole briefing of it, just to make the final point, if you have Ralph Ragnick in that hot seat next to Ten Hag, I guarantee you he would not have been telling him to go for players like Mason Mount. He'd have been saying, there's this young up-and-coming player, Andre, in Fluminense in Brazil, for example, 20 years old, brilliant technical ability, progression, first major professional contract that you would have got him on. But what do? We take the nostalgia of players. Oh, there's Mason Mount. He's Premier League proven. He's got 1 year left in his contract. His Chelsea, his proper Chelsea and all the shite that they all come out with the briefings. But where we are now, guys, we've got a team that's built up of 4 or 5 different managers, players. We've got no style of play. We've got no identity. And if we're being honest with you, the 2 goals at the weekend against Brentford, it papered over a lot of the cracks. And I would not be surprised if we come back after the international break and the cracks start tearing away again. And who are they going to go for? They're going to take a big tomahawk and they're going to throw it at Eric Ten Hag's bald head. That's all it's going to be from the media.
Listen, big up, Tom. Windy says, if Ranić was so great, sorry, let me just go back to this comment. If Ranić was so great, why any top teams, any of the 5 leagues going after him, for him? Just because you repeat what Van Gaal Joseph said doesn't make him all-knowing. No, what is the end in all the top 5 teams have already got their directors of football. They've already got their directors of football. So why would they want him? Look at the players that he wanted at Manchester United. Araves.
Yeah.
Who else?
Alvarez, Fernandes, Caicedo. There was a lot of younger players as well.
Yeah, a lot of younger players. He literally, Windy, earmarked the players that Manchester United need to go and get.
Guardiola.
Guardiola, there you go.
The guy at Man City, what's his name? Alaves. 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 He wanted some of these players. He wanted some of the people that Liverpool bought. Luis Diaz. Yes.
Well, this is
players he named.
South American market. South American market, lads. This is what we were just discussing.
Yeah, big up Khalid Ramadan. Khalid, I apologize. I'm heavy dosed out on painkillers, and I just clicked. Apologies to you, bro. You're a mod, one of the mods. So love and light. I didn't mean to get rid of you, but it made a bit more entertaining. But Jarvis, at the end of the day, sacking the manager ain't gonna fix this, and we're gonna get an interim. They're not gonna have money to go and get the manager they want.
Yeah, changes
even
nothing.
To sign a manager. So what's the point of that? We just got to stick with him. We need to stick with one manager, and Eric Ten Hag could be it. Now it could all go wrong at the end of the day, but with this ownership, no manager's gonna thrive. And I think they might sack him if we get kicked out of the Champions League. Forget making it to the Champions League. I think
we know they will sack the manager when we can't get top 4 anymore, or we are out of the Champions League discussion. We might at the end of the season need to win the Europa League because of this.
No.
Yeah. We can go to Europa League and be 7th, and that's our destiny. We have to win the Europa League. It's just the way it is. Yeah. We never know. But I just want to say to Tom, I liked what you said about the sporting director, and I think I read somewhere that in Ajax, Ten Hag and Overmars and
there was the agreement principle.
Yeah, they had an agreement.
They
had
didn't
one
both
rule.
agree. Yeah.
Well, wasn't it all three of them? Van der Sar too. All of them had to agree.
It was that Van der Sar gave Overmars and Ten Hag he said to them basically, you guys select the player, I'll sign off on it. But the rule is you both have to agree on the same player. And if you both don't agree that it's the right player for the club, but also you as the coach, you don't sign the player.
Yeah. And then above that, Tom, I'll add to this. Above that, there is the board, and there is one board above that are 5 or 6 people who have a veto on older players. Mm-hmm. So Ten Hag can agree to sign him. Van der Sar could agree. Overmars can agree and still be ruled out by 5 of the board to be ruled out because the money they're spending on a player, if the player is 28 years old. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen. Now sometimes then, Overmars, Van der Sar and the others talk to each other and then they allow one player that's over 28. But the rest of it, they don't. Listen, we're here. We're talking about the things that matter, people. We're not here talking about like stuff that is saying, oh, sack the manager and try to simplify it. We're not trying to simplify it. At the end of the day, we're trying to get you to acknowledge that this has been something that's been going on for a long, long time. And that sacking Erik ten Hag is not going to save it. And a classic example is Arsenal. Younger players backed him. He comes in, and now they're challenging for a league title.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything. At the end of the day, nothing's going to change because we don't operate like a football club. We are not operating like a football club. Manager wants to get rid of players he doesn't fancy. Players stay. How can you have any sort of control where the players that you don't fancy are staying at the football club? And then you can't get in your own players. Then you get the sack because you're not achieving. And then we've got mixed match players from 4 different managers with 4 different styles of play of ideas. At the end of the day, the big criticism of Erik ten Hag is he should have put down his system last season. Second, but then you look at the way the club briefed him. They just said, we need to get us a trophy and you need to get us top 4. That's what they briefed him, and he did what they asked him to do. So can we even blame him on that?
No. He did what they wanted.
Yeah, he did what they wanted. So at the end of the day, De Zerbi does the drills. Arteta, when they finished 8th and 5th twice, he was doing the drills on the training ground, while Erik ten Hag was chasing 4 trophies in his first season. It doesn't go. And now players look so fatigued.
Yeah.
Players look so fatigued. Yeah, man. Big up. Big up to you. Is it just me? Even everybody. Sorry to hear about your injury. Great observation by Tom. Overmars 10 water into wine. Yeah, of course he did. Because he was allowed to function, though. Because they were a very stable club. Now, it's so funny. Look, they're not stable anymore. Ten Hag leaves. Overmars leaves. Ten Hag leaves. Van der Sar leaves. And look where they are now. After so many games, they're in a relegation zone. They're 16th in the Eredivisie. Ajax.
Yeah.
Because the football structure's gone and the manager's gone. So the importance of that is so important and vital, people. And this is what has been your podcast, Real and Raw. At the end of the day, I'm doing it with painkillers. Big up to Tom. Big up to Jarvis. Listen, last word. Go ahead, Jarvis, and I'll go to Tom.
Yeah, before I go, I just want to do a little what do you call it, shout out for tonight at MUFC Realist TV. I hope it's okay, Nerdy.
Of course, always.
Yeah. Tom is coming to the show, and you are free to come if you have the time, Nerdy, or feel well. But if not, it's okay. But we will discuss looking into the future, the near future, what's going on with United, what can Ten Hag learn from the beginning of the season, and what areas he can improve. We will discuss this team, and I hope people will join up. 9:00 p.m. UK.
Yo, big up. And make sure you follow up Jarvis at Bowley77. And make sure you follow Tom at Tom Journalist 1. Tom, last word of the show for you.
Yeah, big up as always, therapy arm and everything. And I guess we've hopefully given you a little bit of insight and opinion. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get this anywhere else, guys. As the podcast says, raw, real, red. That's what we all think. And at the moment, guys, the least that you can do, like, share, subscribe. Costs absolutely nothing. Move the cursor, click on your phone, your iPad, your tablet, whatever you're on. Click the like, thumbs up, click subscribe. Costs zero, zilch. And that's all you've got to do to support and keep this podcast going as it is, people.
Yeah. The big thing about this window is that they will sack him. They are very good at self-preservation. So today in the podcast, we asked the big question, people. A mixed match of signings from 4 or 5 managers, 4 managers, and then a couple of interims thrown in there. You've got different styles of play, and then you affect the manager, you bring him in and say, you need to win a trophy and get top 4. So he forgets about his principles, his football. Second season comes, he's struggling. You don't get him the signings that he wants, and then you want to sack him. Like, it's ridiculous. Manchester United have no physicality. They don't have any technicality. That is the biggest thing ever. That is the biggest thing ever. Klopp described United as Disneyland, and that's what it will remain under this ownership. 100%. 100%. It doesn't matter who the manager is. I'm not asked about whether I'm not that precious about Ten Hag. I'm not. It's not about Ten Hag. It's not. It could be a guy called Bob, Simon, Jim. That's what it could be called. Yeah, Ajax fans are tearing down. Big up Charlie, says Melanin, yeah. Malmin. Rosenberg, he says crazy things are going on there. It's like how Rosenberg feel of Norway here in Norway, where we used to them winning as a joy and see them at the lower half. Yeah, there we go. Rosenberg's like that as well in Norway. Yeah, the great Rosenberg. I remember the Champions League when they tore us apart.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that.
The story with Rosenborg, they had a manager, his name was Nils Arne Eggen. He was the same as Alex Ferguson. He was there for decades. He won the league, I think, 10, 15 times in a row, and they qualified for the Champions League like 10 times in a row. And they built a lot of money. You know, in the Norwegian league, it's not like the Premier League, so there wasn't a lot of money, but then they built up, and they were like gigantic in Norway. But suddenly he left the club. He was too old, and everything fell apart because he was running everything the same as Ferguson.
Well, that's the problem. And to me, they should have learned from Manchester United and should have had a plan, put people in place so that when he goes, it's called managing a transition. Managing a transition. So he's the whole football structure. You bring people in to do all the different jobs that he was doing. And then you get a young, talented coach, and then you support them. I'm a guy who lives in Hume, South Central Manchester. I know that bit. I know how it's managed. Remember the great manager at Bayern Munich that he was there for almost a decade. Hitzfeld, I think his name is. He was there. They managed him. They managed because they had a football structure. They managed. He won a treble, and then a couple of times he came back, but they managed it. Guys, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. At the end of the day, we talk about the real issues, in pain or no pain, high on painkillers or no high painkillers. We're doing it here. Like I said, Manchester United need to find a way of getting out of this. Big up Jarvis and Mateo made up. Thank you, Jarvis. I thought you might be hurt my feelings. Well, no hurt feelings here. But the last message we want to go out to our solidarity with the people of Palestine, people in Gaza who are absolutely getting decimated. We've got our full support. Our hearts and minds are with them, and they will prevail. And the whole world is watching a massacre. Shame on the rest of the world. Shame on everybody who's watching this, who can do something about what's going on. But love and light, people. And I'm sorry, on the international law, just the last thing to say. People are resisting on occupation. Over 70 years that occupation's been happening. They're not two different countries. They're one country being taken over by colonial settlers racist apartheid regime, and they have every right to resist, even on the international law. So it is what it is. You heard it here first, people. It's not a binary. They're not two different countries. It's people resisting. Imagine somebody came to your house, chopped your parents out, grandparents out. What would you do? What would you do? You would fight to the death to basically protect your home. That's what the problem is, people. Love and light, free Palestine, free Palestine. Love, light, always. Big up, look after each other, and we'll see you in the next one. But make sure you check out the show tonight. What time, Jarvis?
9 p.m.
9 p.m.
UK.
tonight. Yeah, they're looking at everything about Manchester United, where to go. How can Ten Hag fix this? And Ten Hag is under a lot of pressure, so make sure you check that out. Tom will be on there, and Jarvis will be on there. I think I might be snoozing at that time. But love and light, people. Take care. It's been a long day, a long couple of days for me. So peace, love and light. Good night. And win, lose or draw, Glazers out, bankers out. I'm not getting into any talk about ownership and all that. Listen, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But love and light, people. Good night.
Night.